Welcome to Fact and Suspicion. I'm your host, Dan, here with my co host, Ben. And tonight we have a special update episode on the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams. This is the 7th of December when we're recording this. And yesterday, the Indiana State Police have issued a new request for information that has a lot of speculation, and there's possibly a new suspect, and there's a lot to discuss.
All right. Well, so I'm going into this blind. I know nothing about the information yet. But why don't you go ahead and give us a brief refresher on the case? You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but just in case there are people joining us for the first time who aren't familiar with the case, so they have some frame of reference.
Right. Well, obviously, if you want a lot of detail on it, you should check out the episode we did on the Delphi Murders. But just a basic rundown. 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams were murdered on February 13th, 2017. They had gone for a hike on the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana. They never returned. The next day, their bodies were found. And as the investigation goes on, some information is released to the public. And what is very intriguing about this is that Libby actually recorded video of a man approaching them on the trail. And there's also audio of this man telling them to get down the hill. And everyone is fairly certain that this is the man that murdered them. So we actually have video footage and audio of this person, but we still don't know who it is.
Did the police ever actually say whether they think that man was the one involved,
Yes,
or is that mostly just speculation?
Well, they've said that they believe this is the person who is involved. However, we have not seen. There is more video footage that we have not seen, but we have not seen video footage as the public to know that this is the person that committed the murders necessarily, right?
Okay.
Though it is widely accepted that this has to be the murderer. Now, one thing that is notable about this case that we really need to discuss before we continue with this is that the police have not been very forthcoming with information about it. Initially, we only had a still photo of the person walking across the bridge, and we didn't know that was actually from a video. Right. We thought it was just a photo that we didn't know even where it came from, if it was security footage or what. Right.
Yeah, I remember the speculation at the time.
Yeah. And then, a few days later, we get an audio clip of this person saying down the hill. And we find out that it actually was from a video that Libby recorded. Now, for another 2 years, we didn't see that video, actually. But we have seen a very short video clip now of him sort of walking across the bridge. But it's only a very, very short clip, and there is much more video that we don't even know what's on it. We haven't seen. Now, they have been pretty heavily criticized for the lack of information as well, because especially web sleuths believe that the more information they give us, the more likely someone will be able to, come forth with information, figure something out, right?
I mean, that does seem reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think they should have released more information. Now,
well, they do seem to be taking secrecy to another level here. I mean, why start with still images when you have a video of the person? No, it's all just really infuriating.
Yeah. And I've said before that I always felt like perhaps they knew who this person was, and they were just trying to build a case, right? But I'm even doubting that at this point. It's been so long, right? But now let's discuss exactly what the Indiana State Police has requested information about. According to them, they have come across an internet profile on both Snapchat and Instagram that goes by the name Anthony Shots. Now, this particular profile was used to contact underage girls and try to solicit nude photographs from them, all kinds of sexually explicit material, attempt to get their addresses, things like that. And they were requesting information from anyone who had been contacted by this profile or, had possibly attempted to meet with this person. Now, the profile used images of a male model, actually. He's known to be a model, and they've contacted this person. He is not involved at all with the case.
So it was some sort of catfishing scheme?
Yeah, it was catfishing. And they're just asking for information about it. Now, this gets the public in an uproar, right? Because everyone thinks, well, this is new information. Now they think that either Abby or Libby were being catfished, that this person could well be the murderer, right?
That does seem to be the implication, right? I mean, if they're asking for information about a catfisher, seems likely that one of the two girls, that he had contacted one of them in some way, right?
Yeah, it does. But this is where things start to get confusing, at least to me, because more information came out on this today. I'm not sure which media source broke this first, but we already know who the man is that created this profile. His name is Keegan Klein, and he's a 27-year-old from Peru, Indiana. Now, he's 27 now, so at the time he would have probably been about 23, maybe 22. But he has already been arrested for child pornography. He had a lot of sexually explicit material of minors on several phones. They already know who this person is.
So when you say he was arrested, do you mean in the past at some point or in connection with this case?
It definitely seems that he was arrested in conjunction with this case. At least it was involved with the case. If you look at the court documents, he was, or rather, a warrant was served on him on the 25th of February, 2017. This is about 2 weeks after the murder. And, he has all these materials. If you read the affidavit, now it's heavily redacted, but it says that he was investigated in conjunction with redacted case, which seems to be the Delphi murders, right?
Right, yeah.
And now we can't prove that, but that definitely seems to be the implication.
Particularly since they didn't you say they asked to send tips to the Abby and Libby tip line?
They did in fact, and they seem to phrase it in a way that they were looking for information about the Delphi murders with their request. But like I said, this man was arrested back in 2017 for this. I mean, not for the Delphi murders, but for the child pornography. They seized his phones. They had his phones. They obviously had Libby's phone. If he was in contact with the girls through this Anthony Shots profile, they knew this on February 25th, 2017.
Yeah, that does seem a bit strange. I mean, if he were
Right.
involved, surely they'd know something by now, right?
Exactly. Why would they be requesting information 4.5 years later?
Well, isn't it possible that they're just trying to build a case against him, and that's why they're looking for more people that he catfished? Maybe they just need more evidence against him. Now, I'm not sure how that would relate necessarily to Abby and Libby, but
Maybe, but again, wouldn't they have tried to get this information years ago?
maybe they did, and they just couldn't locate whoever these children were he was contacting. So they're now just trying to reach out to the public, just hoping to find someone. Though I don't know. You're right, it is strange.
It's very strange. They have the guy's phones. They should know who he was talking to. I don't know. Now let's talk about the man does look a bit like the first composite sketch, right?
Yeah, you showed me a picture. Yeah, it's eerie. The facial hair in the right place, a very similar nose, eyes are even kind of similar, and the face shape. Though I mean, I guess anyone that fat would have a similar face shape, but
Yes, but remember that first composite sketch looked much older than this guy would have been 23.
yeah. That's true though. I agree that the guy in the first sketch looks older, but I mean, he's supposed to be the person on the bridge, and it's not like this. It's not exactly 4K there, right? He looks to be older to me, but if I were to discover that he was younger, like it wouldn't shock me. So I would not rule this guy out based on my assumption of his age from that pixelated video.
That's very true, but we are talking about the first composite sketch. And if you'll remember, the second composite sketch is the one we're supposed to be working from now. And I don't think he looks as much like the second sketch.
Could the second sketch be based on the model from the catfishing profile?
That is possible. I do see some similarity between the pictures of the model and that second sketch, though I don't think they're very strong similarities. But what really kills that for me is that they would have known that the model from the catfishing photos was not involved from very early on. And, that second composite sketch came quite a bit later.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't actually think about that.
And, well, I don't know where the second composite sketch really came from, honestly. I've always thought that maybe an eyewitness perhaps saw someone on the trail that day or saw someone close to the trail, and that's where that came from. It could possibly come from the video, though. We don't know for sure.
Right. Yeah, I remember you speculating about that during the episode. Now, the first sketch, at least, we know that is an artist's rendition of the guy walking across the bridge, right? Either from the still photo or the video.
We assume so. Like it was never said that this is a sketch of this person necessarily, though it seems to be, it looks like him, right?
I mean, it seems like they even tried to draw the same cap on him.
Yeah, I agree with that flat cap. Though the more I look at it, I don't think it was a flat cap, but it definitely looks like it.
Yeah, I think we decided it was most likely a ball cap, maybe camouflage.
Yeah, possibly. Brown camouflage, something like that. Now, I will say, though, that Klein does look somewhat like the first sketch. And it's startling, at least to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I put the two side by side in Photoshop. And yeah, there's more than a resemblance, honestly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now,
it's like putting Ted Bundy next to the Ted sketch. You know the Ted sketch I'm talking about?
I do. I remember exactly that. I've seen a lot of the side by sides of that. But let's break down exactly what we have about this suspect. He lived about 40 miles away from Delphi at the time. He has admitted to creating the Anthony Shots profile, and he has admitted to using it on Snapchat and Instagram to contact underage girls. He has admitted that he knew they were underage and has admitted that he tried to get nude photos from them and videos of a sexual nature.
So basically, whether he killed them or not, we know at the very least he's a deviant pervert.
Yeah, he definitely had child pornography. And some sources have reported that he was sharing his child pornography, though that seems to differ from source to source. Now, I don't know if this is any kind of proof that he was involved. I would definitely say that it's a strong possibility, but what makes it hard for me to believe is the time frame of when they're asking for the information.
Yeah, I think I see where you're going with that, because it seems like if they had this pedophile this early on and they could already tie him to a connection with one of the two girls, that surely they'd already have all the information they needed by this point, right?
I think so. Especially because it seems that he was being investigated because of the Delphi murders. So the fact that they don't have a strong enough connection doesn't make sense to me. Now, I've been speculating or just kind of playing with the idea that maybe he was an accomplice or maybe even an unknowing accomplice, right? I guess it's possible that he was sharing his pornography collection with someone who may actually be Bridge Guy, right? Or maybe he's not the only person that used that profile.
And who just happens to share that much of a similarity with the sketch as the guy himself. Seems unlikely.
No, I understand what you're saying. It does seem unlikely, though. Let's say it's a family member of his, right, that he shares that profile with. They could definitely have similar features.
Yeah, that's fair, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do we know if he
And
has any, like a brother or anyone around his same age?
well, he lived with his dad. Now, I don't want to try to bring his dad in on any of this. I don't know. I can't find photos of his dad, so I don't know how much he looks like him. And I don't want to try to accuse someone who may be completely uninvolved, right?
Right, of
But
course.
I do know he was living with his dad. Now, another thing that I still wonder about, and I don't want to take the focus off of Klein, but the man we discussed in the last episode, Chadwell,
Yeah.
he seemed like such a strong suspect to me.
The voice was startlingly similar as well. So
Yeah.
he was the guy we listened to, right?
He was. Yeah. And I don't want to get too far off subject for anyone who doesn't know, but he was another person that was a strong suspect for this, at least in the public eye. But I don't know. Like they both seem like suspects to me now. And I would love for this. I would love for this to be the guy. I would love to get justice here.
Okay, so is it possible that they can tie Keegan Klein to the account and to some sort of inappropriate relationship with one of the two girls, but they can't actually tie him to the scene? And that's why they're looking for more information. I don't know what they would hope to find, especially from other girls, but I don't know. It's just a thought.
I suppose it's possible. But if you look at it this way, if they were looking at Klein specifically, they've got his cell phone records. They probably could have traced his cell phone pings to at least the same tower the girls were on that day. And that'll be pretty good evidence. I think.
Probably so.
I feel like there has to be some kind of DNA evidence from the scene. Now, it's not 100%.
We don't even know how the girls were killed, do we?
Not from a source we could quote, no, but there are definitely, reported leaks and stuff of how they were killed. At least that's something I think we can get into because, this is.
So it's just mostly speculation.
I would call it more than speculation because, well, there are alleged leaked text messages that describe the state of the bodies when they were found. Like I said, it's alleged. It's not something we can quote from a reliable source, so it's not something something I want to get into. But there was speculation. I was going to say that the speculation is that they were stabbed.
Okay.
And if that is the case, you would think there would be,
there's a good chance he would have left behind DNA of some sort.
Yeah, some sort of DNA. Maybe that was not the case. It has not been released if they were sexually assaulted or not. But, if they were, surely there would be some DNA from that as well. But like I said, I would think there would have to be some sort of DNA, at least some hair follicles, something on that scene that they could match to this man. If he's a suspect, they could match that DNA. That's basically a smoking gun.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and if they had that, why would they need any more information?
Exactly. If they have his cell phones and all the information, the people he spoke to, you can subpoena Snapchat and Instagram for that information.
Yeah, of course.
If there's a connection there, then it's easy to prove. I don't know. The one thing that I'm wondering about, right, is the ISP are asking for information about, if anyone has attempted to meet with this Anthony Schatz profile, right?
Right.
Well, I'm thinking, what if they went to meet this person and it wasn't Klein? What if they met someone else? What if he did have someone else that was using that profile, right? That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe they're suspecting some other people to have been, using this profile to contact underage girls.
It seems inconceivable that one of these girls could have been in contact with a predator like this and then end up dead and that predator not be involved in some way. I mean, what are the odds?
Now, I may have to disagree with you on the odds there just a little bit, because there are a lot more of these sickos on the internet than you would think, right? I mean, there are tons of guys that are contacting underage girls trying to get nude pictures all the time.
I mean, we've all seen To Catch a Predator.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the more time that goes by, every year there are more and more people that do this, right? And some of them aren't even trying to meet them. They're just, trying to talk sexy to them or get pictures of. They're just sickos on the internet, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's very possible that they were contacted by someone who wasn't involved. But the fact that he lived 40 minutes away,
yeah,
it seems to draw a lot.
The timing
of
is very suspicious.
Right? Yeah, no, it really is. But I mean, I cannot say I would like for this to be the guy. I hope it is, but I'm not going to hold my breath on this one.
It just seems like if it were, or if he were, they'd have more information by now.
Well, they may have a lot more information than we know about. I just don't know why they'd be requesting the information. Now,
why wouldn't he be indicted if they had the kind of information we're talking about, though?
That's a good point.
I mean, I assume he hasn't been indicted, right?
Not on this, no.
Just for the child pornography charges or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not sure what all the charges were, but he was in possession of child pornography. He had, by some reports, have been sharing it. He, was contacting underage girls, for bad purposes. I'm not sure what the charges are exactly on that, but there are charges for all those things.
Cyber crimes and being a pedo douchebag.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, one other thing that I've considered with this, though, is that, how they have just sort of fed us information piecemeal all along the way for years now, right? On this case. I mean,
Yes.
they could just be doing the same thing now. Like, maybe this is just some way for them to say, hey, we're still working on the case.
So, wait, you mean the police? You think maybe the police are just throwing the public a bone because maybe they're under pressure or something? Is that what you're suggesting?
Maybe so.
But what would the motivation be there?
I don't know, other than the fact that, this is what they've done with this case, right? They give us a little more information every couple of years. I mean, maybe they are under pressure. Maybe they're just trying to keep the web sleuths busy with something. I don't know. But another thing I would like to point out, though, is that the police did not say anything about Keegan Kline. That they have not mentioned his name at all. This is all from the media digging up court documents that this is the man that created that Anthony Shots profile.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's an important distinction to make here. The police have not mentioned this man at all. Like, they're just asking for information about the Anthony Shots profile.
But they mentioned him indirectly, right? By mentioning the profile.
They did, but they acted like in their statement they didn't know who it was behind the profile. Obviously they did. But the implication is that they don't know who this is. They're trying to figure out who this person is. I
mean, could it be then that they're convinced it is him and just didn't want to put his name out there if they could avoid it?
No, I don't think so. I think they knew that his name would get out. I mean, basically, it seems like, not by everyone, but a big portion of the public will probably convict this man in their minds because of this, right? Now, I'm not saying that he's not worthy of being convicted. This is a terrible fucking person.
Yeah, I mean, pedophiles get a real bad rep.
But terrible person. But I'm just saying, if he's not the murderer, we want to keep looking for the murderer, right?
I guess you're right, though, Dan. We should probably be careful about jumping to conclusions and judging poor pedophiles.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm all about judging them for the crimes they commit. I just want to find the person that really is guilty. Right?
No, I follow you.
It's not as much about wrongly accusing someone as it is about letting someone go. But, like I said, we don't know for sure. And maybe maybe they want everyone to think it's Keegan Klein, so they won't be pressured as much to find the actual killer. And I mean, I hate to bring it up, but there is so much internet speculation that they're covering for someone. Now that's conspiracy theory territory, right?
I mean, I still think the best explanation is just that they're incompetent.
Well, asking for
And like a lot of
information,
law enforcement agencies, addicted to secrecy.
asking for information about this almost 5 years later, that screams incompetence.
Yes.
But it's hard for me to believe they're that incompetent, right? If they needed more information, why wouldn't you ask at the time? I mean, how many teenage girls do you think were contacted by this Anthony Shots profile and it's just some other guy that contacted them, right? That nowadays they don't even remember the name of these profiles that tried to contact them when they were, 14 years old.
Yeah, that is a problem.
I'm sure that most teenage girls are contacted by several creeps like this in their lifetimes, right? In their teenage years.
Yeah, and they're supposed to just pick out the one pervert that one time.
Right. But if you had asked, in March or April of 2017, this may have been fresh on their minds.
Well, I'm hoping they did. At least any of them that they could discover.
Right. Well, I'm just saying by asking the public, right?
Right.
I mean, why ask the public so much later? I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
It seems like if they really thought that was a viable option to get information, that they would have tried that almost immediately.
But it has to mean something, doesn't it? They're asking for this information.
Yes, I mean, I would say so. I couldn't tell you what exactly.
Okay, maybe it means they are trying to get pressure off them. Maybe this is pretty terrible, but maybe they're just trying to get information. We mentioned this earlier for their other case against him.
But why attach it to the Abby and Libby tip line if that's the case?
I mean, I think a lot more people pay attention to it if you do. If they were asking for information about some guy that was getting child pornography, if they were asking for information about some guy that was just trying to collect child pornography in Indiana, I'm sure some people would hear that and respond. If you put Abby and Libby's names on it, the entire country hears that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Just a part of me just hates that they would use their death to get that information. But
I completely agree.
If they're catching a dangerous predator, I mean, maybe it's worth it, right?
Maybe, but you have to think this is bringing up new speculation. It's bringing this back up in the media. Libby and Abby's families are getting kind of dragged back into this, and their emotions are, it's kind of torture, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're dealing with it better now than you did 4 years ago, right?
I mean, to the extent you ever really deal with something like that.
Yeah, but you still, like, that's going to be terrible. It's going to be hard on you still now, and you're back in the media attention again.
Yeah, it seems like if the police were going to open that wound, it would be for a really good reason.
I'd like to think so. But with the way this investigation has gone,
yeah,
I can't say.
Who knows with these cops?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look through our comments on this episode, easily the most common comment is something talking about the incompetence of the police. I think the term Keystone Cops has been used a time or two.
They have been completely incompetent. And that's at best. At worst,
right,
they're covering up for someone, right? Now, I don't know how easily they could cover up when the state police get involved, and even, the FBI at some levels are involved. So I hate to put that forward, but if it was someone, powerful enough, maybe they could be covering up. I don't know.
Again, though, like it's not the sort of thing I like to speculate on until we have something solid.
No,
because
like I said before, I like to think that they know who this person is, and they've just had trouble building a case, and that theory seems to go with this here. But with the information we're getting about, contacting young girls online, it seems like they'd have the information they need. So I'm torn on this one. I'm really torn.
Could it be just one other possibility? Could it be that that they're planning on charging him with the murder of Abby and Libby, and they're just trying to get this other information so that they can add it to the charges?
I don't know. I
Because
mean,
these are similar crimes. This is the kind of propensity evidence that would generally be allowed in court, right? Because of the similarity they would share to the murder, assuming that they were that one of them, the two, were catfished. If they found other examples of a predator catfishing young women, that would almost certainly be allowed at trial. So maybe they're just trying to get more evidence against the guy.
I think that's possible, right? Like I said, though, you would think they'd have enough evidence already. Though, like I said, this guy, he has not faced trial yet for his current charges. I don't know if he is incarcerated right now, waiting on trial, or if he's out on bond. But if they have him in a cell right now, I don't suppose there's a huge rush to indict him on these other charges.
I mean, as long as he's not a danger to other children right now.
Right. And if he is incarcerated somewhere, if they know he's going to go to jail for his child pornography, I suppose, it's possible they could just take their time and build the charges on this.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that would be great. I would love to see this. If this man is guilty, I would love to see him be convicted of this crime. I mean, I'd like to see this guy go away forever anyway, but if he's not guilty of this, I want them to catch whoever was, but
Right.
I'm not worried about this guy getting extra time that he doesn't quote unquote deserve, right?
Right.
But let's
We'd
keep
still
him
like
in
to have the
there.
answers. I mean, the who killed Abby and Libby.
I really would. Hopefully in the upcoming days, there'll be some more information on this.
That'd be nice.
Like I said, it was yesterday that the ISP made that announcement, and then today is when the information came out that we already know who the person is. I don't know if there's anything else that will come out soon, but I hope so. I would like for this to be Bridge Guy,
Yes,
but I don't know that it is. I guess I can say I hope it is. I hope we've caught the guy.
so basically, we're right back to just hoping they catch the guy again.
Hoping that's where we've been for almost 5 years now. I wish this update did more for us, but at least we're getting something. At least we have a new suspect.
I mean, this it's not nothing, right? Knowing that there was a known child predator in communication with one of the two girls.
It's
I mean,
not.
that's something. I
don't know,
really
but
hope
there's-
that the next time we do an episode about this case, the next update, there won't be nearly as many maybes or possiblies.
No, I really hope the next update we can say we have found the killer. Thank you for listening to this special update episode of Fact and Suspicion. We do have another episode coming up soon about everything we know on the Gabby Petito case. We hope that'll be very interesting for everyone, and that should be out in a couple of days.